Hey! We're back with another video on creating characters from Dungeon Meshi in Pathfinder 2nd edition. We've looked at most of the party at this point. We've got a couple of characters who were in the party before the show starts. Shuro, Namari, who we've not covered yet, and maybe we will eventually, but not yet. We've only got one more person to go. Again, spoilers for the show. This is a person who we get introduced to quite late in the series. I'm not sure about in the manga, but in the Netflix show, this is like the final kind of set of episodes we get introduced this character. So again, spoilers for that, but for anyone who's already caught up, which I would hope you would be, let's get into this. We're going to be talking about Itsuzumi, who is our final character. Alexa, I am done with the reminder. Thank you. Formerly known as Asabi, or Asabi. I'm not quite sure on the pronunciation of that, to be honest. They were previously one of Shuro's retainers who we meet when Shuro comes back into the story for a few episodes. But that's not their real name. Their real name is Itsuzumi. They appear to be a shinobi and disappear during one of the combats, later revealed to show back up, possessing feline features due to a curse placed on her, which includes black cat-like ears on the top of her head. In addition, she's got black fur over most of her body, covering her chest, and down her arms and her shoulders and her legs. And her nails are close to claws, having pointed tips, and she has fangs. She joins up with the party in hopes that they might be able to cure her curse, and hey, anything's possible. And that's where we start with her. She is a picky eater, she's very much in this for herself, and it takes a while to get used to helping others and not just do everything for herself, kind of like a cat. But not all cats, I'm sure. She also exhibits behaviours like cats, like always trying to sleep in chill chucks, roll mat because it's the warmest. We see that she has a very capable sense of smell, being a cat, you'd expect, and mostly uses her agility and her claws to fight with, though we have seen her use other weapons. So she's a very capable fighter. She's also very stealthy, as she follows the party for quite a while before they are even aware of her presence. This means we're most likely going to be making another rogue. We're going to try and make them in a different way to how we made Chilchuck, which makes sense. They certainly have different personalities, well, obviously, but different backgrounds, different flaws, different strengths. And then after this, we are going to go back and do a quick rework of Senshi, because I got a couple of comments which reminded me some things about Rangers that I had completely overlooked. So we're going to do that at the end as well. But for now, let's have a look with my other self and making Itsuzumi on Path Builder in Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remaster. Thank you, me. Well, let's get into this and have a look. Unsurprisingly, our ancestry for Itsuzumi is going to be catfolk. Granted, she is not a traditional beast folk, catfolk. She is cursed like this, but it still makes a lot of sense as she exhibits cat-like traits and looks somewhat like a cat, and certainly has those kind of agile reflexes and such. Catfolk have the uncommon trait, so if you are creating one within your game, you probably want to check with your game master first, just in case. And they have the humanoid and catfolk traits. They have 8 hit points to start, which isn't awful and isn't great. Their size is medium, their speed is the standard 25 feet. They get a boost to dexterity and charisma, and a free boost and a floor to wisdom, which tracks well enough. Languages we are largely going to ignore, and they get low light vision, which means they can see in dim light as if it were bright light, and land on your feet. Where you fall, you take only half the normal damage and you don't land prone, which is very useful and certainly fits with them being a cat. For their background, we went with cursed. Again, for obvious reasons, they are cursed. This is a rare background, so again, doesn't happen very often. You are the victim of a personal or hereditary curse. Obviously, it's a personal one. And yes, through great effort and occult study, you've learned how to fend off the curse's worst effects, and by extension, you can protect yourself against other harmful magic. However, the curse still hangs over you and sometimes manifests in dangerous ways. They are able to choose 2 attribute boosts. One must be to intelligence or charisma, and one is a free boost, and you're trained in the occultism and curse lore, which will make sense. You also gain the warding sign reaction. You and the GM should determine the full effects of the curse, though you've staved off most of them for now. We kind of see that in the first episode, but are aware that the curse is that she's a cat kind of thing. The warding sign thing, it sounds very mean, sorry, but a cat person, beast person currently. Once per minute with warding sign, as a reaction when you attempt a saving throw against a magical effect but you haven't rolled yet, you can call on the power of your personal Eldritch Sign of Protection, which flares brightly before slowly fading. You get a +2 circumstance bonus to the triggering saving throw, or +3 circumstance bonus if it is a curse effect. which is cool and makes sense. You're familiar with being cursed before, so you don't want to be cursed again. It's kind of like when Hawkeye doesn't get mind controlled in Age of Ultron because he's already had that in Avengers, I suppose. Sort of. But that's cursed. Finally, class we've gone for, obviously, Rogue, which we've talked about before. 8 plus con for hit points. Dex is presently the key ability, though that may change. Expert in Perception, trained in Fortitude, expert in Reflex and Will, trained in Stealth, and then another skill from the Rogue's Racket, and another of skills equal to 7 plus your Intelligence modifier, which is a lot of skills. Trained in Unarmed, Simple and Martial Weapons, trained in Light Armor and Unarmed Defense, and trained in the Rogue class DC. For our abilities, therefore, from this, we have added a increase to our Intelligence, and then Intelligence and Dexterity, and then Dexterity. We've not added any Strength, because we don't need that, and we've not added any con up until this point, because, again, they're mostly going to be sneaking around in the shadows. They don't need a lot of tankiness for what they're going to be doing, lots of striking and disappearing. So, with the additional modifiers we've added, we've balanced out the penalty to Wisdom with a +0 for there, +1 to Con, like we said, 0 to Strength, +4 to Dex at its highest, +3 to Intelligence, and +1 to Charisma. They've been spending a lot of time looking into their curse and that kind of stuff. After all, even if they don't know a bunch of specific stuff down in the dungeon, and you know, they've got a bit of charisma for intimidation maybe, but obviously their manners are not necessarily the best. Skill training, you can see a bunch of them here. They've got most of them being a rogue. They've got acrobatics, arcana, athletics, crafting, deception, not diplomacy because again, manners, intimidation, curse law, medicine, occultism, performance, society, stealth, survival, and thievery. Some of them make more sense than others, but they all roughly track. That's just what happens when you have rogues in Pathfinder. For the heritage, we went with clawed catfolk because we do get told that they have strong claws. Particularly long, sharp claws capable of delivering bleeding wounds with a wicked swipe. You gain a claw unarmed attack that does 1d6 slashing damage, and then in the brawling group and have the agile, finesse, and unarmed traits. Which means you can use your dex penalty with them. They're unarmed obviously, and having the agile trait means that when you make a second attack, you only get a -4 penalty rather than a -5. They also got an additional bunch of skill trainings there. We also took the ancestry feat Cat's Luck, which is once per day. When you fail a reflex saving throw, you can re-roll the saving throw and use a better result. Essentially gives you advantage, which is pretty cool. And again, makes a lot of sense for a rogue. Their class feat, similarly, we took Nimble Dodge. When a creature targets you with an attack you can see, and you're not encumbered, you gain a +2 circumstance bonus to your AC against the triggering attack, as long as you have your reaction. Which essentially gives you the same bonus as the usual shield, but without the shield. And finally, we took the skill feat Catfall, which is another cat-like thing, so, you know, it makes a lot of sense to take it. When you're trained in acrobatics, your cat-like aerial acrobatics allows you to cushion your fall. You treat falls as 10 feet shorter, and if you're an expert in acrobatics, which we're not yet, 25 feet shorter, and so on. So this is very cool, and it means that any damage that they do take is 10 feet less, and then they also half it from being a cat folk as well, and having land on your feet. So falling damage is really not going to be much of an issue. For Rogue's Racket, their kind of subclass, I was thinking hard about this, because we very much could just choose the Thief Racket again, but that's very similar, and I want to try and do some different stuff. So we've gone with Mastermind Racket, because I definitely don't feel like Scoundrel or Ruffian work. There's elements of it that might, but still. Mastermind, I think, does make sense. You rely on your intellect to craft intricate schemes, planning 10 steps ahead where others might plan 3. I think this kind of works with the idea of them being a shinobi and searching for information about their curse. It's not perfect, but I think it still kind of works, and it allows us to show off another one of the rackets. And this is another reason why we put her intelligence so high. If you successfully identify a creature using the cool knowledge, that creature is off guard to you until the start of your next turn. And if you critically succeed, it's off guard for you for 1 minute, so 10 rounds. And you get trained in one of the following skills, and you can choose to use intelligence as your key attribute. We've kept with Dex, but that's why she's got a bunch of intelligence for trying to seek out differences and issues, or, you know, places she could strike to be more effective from the shadows. Which certainly works with her very first introduction with the party, where she lures them away and then manages to tackle Marcel in order to try and threaten them to get what she wants. Obviously, we also get Sneak Attack, which means if they're off guard, which they're more likely to be of this, we deal extra damage. with agile weapons and finesse weapons, which these are because of her claws, and we hear she mostly uses her claws. We do an extra d6 precision damage, as well as surprise attack, meaning first round of combat, if you roll deception or stealth, we get to go sooner. And we have her catfolk claws, which, like we see, can do extra sneak attack damage, as well as doing a d6 themselves, and because they're agile and finesse, we can do the dex, and maybe we'll hit a second time, especially if they're off guard. Finally, for defense, we've just gone with standard leather armor, which gives us a +1 item bonus with a dex cap of 4. We've got 4, which with our training in leather armor gives us an AC of 18, and if we use our reaction, that can go up to 20. We also start with 17 hit points, which is not bad. And there we go, that is our level 1 Itsuzumi. And before we end, we're going to show you another variation of Senshi. When I made him last time, I said that I saw people talking about him being a barbarian or a ranger, and I didn't really see it. Barbarian I still stand by, but we had a commenter last time who pointed out that the ranger does kind of work. In my head, I had forgotten that you didn't have to do ranged attacks for being a ranger, even though I know that, so I'm not quite sure what was going on. I was just having a very busy week, I think, and some stuff went out of my head. So I was thinking, well, no, because Senshi doesn't use any ranged weapons, it doesn't really make sense for him, but it kind of does. So here we have Senshi again. He is looking quite similar. He's still got all his same weapons, he's still got his same background and heritage and ancestry feat, but we have changed out his class from fighter to ranger. Rangers are similar in Pathfinder to what they're like in 5e, but not the same. They don't have to have spells, that's not a requirement. They can choose to spec into that by becoming a warden when they go down their feat trees, but they do not need to do those. And they are very good at hunting specific prey, so you can target a certain creature with the hunt prey action, and then you're more effective again against them in one way or another. The class ranger, we can see here, your key ability is strength or dexterity, because like we said, you can be a melee ranger. You get 10 hit points plus your con modifier, so that's still very good. You're expert in perception, fortitude and reflex saves, and trained in will saves, and you become trained in nature and survival, and then skills equal to 4 plus your intelligence modifier, so reasonable amount. You're also trained in simple martial and unarmed attacks, and light, medium armor and unarmored defense, and of course your class DC. You get the hunt prey action, like I said, which is you designate a single creature as an action as your hunted prey, and you gain a +2 bonus to perception to seek them, and a +2 bonus to survival to track them, and you also ignore the penalty for making ranged attacks within your second ranged increment against the prey that you are hunting. You can have only one creature designated as your hunted prey at a time. So yeah, it is still spec'd for ranged things, but that's just not an issue if you're slamming them with your melee weapon anyway, is it? There are 3 hunter's edges that you can take. The one that I was thinking of for melee is flurry, which doesn't really work because this is for using 2 melee weapons essentially very quickly, like double hand axes, and it's very cool because it means you reduce your penalty with your weapons. I'm seeing here now, however, it doesn't even say that you need 2 weapons, so I'm really not sure where I'm getting any of this from. I think it might just be often agile weapons are smaller, so it's more likely, but you really don't need them by the sounds of it. The ones that make more sense, though, specifically for Senshi, however, are the outwit and precision ones. Precision we're going to look at first because I think outwit's probably the most likely, but precision's pretty close. You train to aim for your prey's specific weak points. The first time you hit your hunted prey in a round, you also deal 1d8 additional precision damage, which is the same type of damage you've already dealt, so in this case it would be slashing with the axe, but it's ineffective against creatures that lack vital organs or weak points, like slimes, because you can't do precision damage to them, obviously, and that damage increases at higher levels, so this gives you an extra little boost of damage, which is quite useful. Outwit, however, probably makes the most sense, because this requires knowledge and outwitting your prey and learning about them, and that definitely makes sense for Senshi, because he knows a lot about the creatures in the dungeon. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to AC against your prey's attacks, and a +2 circumstance bonus to deception checks, intimidation checks, stealth checks, and any checks to recall knowledge about them. There you go. Certainly seems less upfrontly useful compared to the other 2, meaning you're able to do more damage or just be more likely to land more hits, but at the same time, it definitely feels like this is actually more in line with what he does. He doesn't know about all the monsters, obviously, but he does know about a fair few of them, and it makes him better at avoiding them and being ready to get out of the way and deal with them as he needs to, which we see him do multiple times across the show. So, there we go. Those are the things that we've got for the Hunter's Edges. And then our class feat that we've taken instead is Monster Hunter, which is you quickly assess your prey and apply what you know. As part of the action used to hunt your prey, you can attempt automatically to recall knowledge about your prey. And when you critically succeed at identifying your hunted prey with recall knowledge, you note a weakness in the creature's defenses in addition to any other benefits. You and allies you tell gain a +1 circumstance bonus to your next attack roll against that prey. You can give bonuses for Monster Hunter only once per day against a particular creature. And obviously you've also got a bonus to this from your Outwit Edge as well. And this definitely makes sense. We often see the parties fighting things and not being exactly sure how to take them down, and then, not always necessarily Senshi, but often Senshi or one of the others will go, oh, I bet it's like this thing, we have to deal with them this way, and then that's how they get the advantage against the creature. So this all feels very in character, and as much as I think the fighter still works, thematically, this does work better, so thanks for that. And here you go, another way of doing Senshi. Always leave comments, again, as I always say, down below, because I might just miss something or forget something, and I always appreciate when people remind me of other perspectives, because sometimes they're right, and yeah, I think this version of Senshi certainly fits with the character a little bit more than another fighter does, even though I think that still has some merit. But yeah, we're going to leave these ones here. Sorry, I know this last bit was a bit jumbled and all over the place. It's very late, and I had forgotten that I needed to record this bit and squeeze it on the end, so my apologies for that. But with that, we've completed Itsuzumi, and we've redone Senshi, so we have our full adventuring party for the end of the first season of Dungeon Meshi. It's been a lot of fun to do and to look at the characters. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Obviously, I can do more freerun, but I need to watch it first. But any other shows, either animated or manga or something else, just let me know down below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. I'm trying to get a consistent upload schedule down, but it's not quite there yet. So, yeah, I'm doing my best with that. But if you ring the bell and notifications, you'll be told when I do upload. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.